Welcome to Global Inspiring HSE Leader interviews. Today, we are with George Steve Darmanin from Malta. Malta Occupational Safety and Health Practitioners Association President. Welcome, George Steve.
Welcome. Thank you, Vedat, for inviting me for this interview and for your program.
Yeah, we are very happy welcoming you today, and we will discuss with you about health, safety, environment in Malta, and also global way. What we are aiming, what we are doing now and future, and then we will discuss more with you. Uh, Firstly, could you please tell about yourself and your association?
Yes, again, thank you, Vedat. I am a father of 6 children, Vedat. I am married to my wife, Razan. Our children are of various ages. The eldest is Lara, 27, and then I have a boy, Julian, he's 23, another Sean, 20, and then another girl, she's about to be 15 this year, and then another two boys, Shayon and Adam, the youngest. So, as you can see, it's rather a large family. Must be a very busy man. My wife is a very busy wife, probably more busy than me in more ways than one. But of course, the family itself motivates me to work harder and have more passion towards my work. And I relate this because as a father, my family expects me to go back home, meaning that we have to work safely.
Yeah.
And I am much in line with what the ILO, the International Labour Organization, and even many other organizations and some politicians maybe, try to get the message across that every worker have the right to go back home safely, not just alive, but in whole, in a healthy way. Because that is why we work. Why do we work? Most and foremost, we work for money. We don't work, and most people do not work as volunteers. Of course, volunteer work is also very important work. We need to do that, and I do volunteer work, especially through the organization MOSPA. But in reality, most people do work for money. They need money for their family, for whatever they want. Some people only for food because they don't have extra money for extra things, but also people make some extra money for things that they like at home, to make a better home, to wear better clothes, maybe to go eating out, or whatever. All right, some people love cars, maybe they can do that. But ultimately, those money is that so that the human being, us as human beings, is to enjoy the benefits of what we are working for. Yeah. But if you cannot go back to work because you didn't go back home, but instead you went to the hospital or sadly to the grave, then that's nothing. And this is what inspires me to be in health and safety. It wasn't always like that, because when I was very young, I did some crazy things, even about the things how I do work. I remember I married very young, Vedat. I married at 22 years old. 2 days before my wedding, I was working at our new home that I was preparing for my wife and I to start a family in. And I was working at the top of the roof. There was this water tank, large water tank.
Yeah.
And I was stupid. I didn't realize that, because many people say, but it's common sense. Health and safety is not common sense. First of all, it's about being aware. And in order to be aware about something, you must be educated about something. You must think ahead. And I wasn't thinking ahead. I went into this tank. It was full with 1,000 liters of water, and I needed to clean it from the inside.
Yeah.
And so I opened it at first, and there was about this 30 centimeters of water left inside it. And I needed to clean it. And I went inside. At first, it was okay. But when I started removing the water, it became wobbly. This roof was about 4 stories high. When almost all of the water was out, you know what saved me? What saved me? The pipe connecting it to another tank. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't connected to another tank, the tank would have fell down. Yeah, I stood there crying alone because I realized that I could have lost my life there and then, 2 days before my wedding, that I could have died. Even at that time, even after it happened, I was not aware about health and safety because I am 51 years old. So what I'm talking about is almost 30 years ago. And 30 years ago, health and safety in Malta, nobody heard what it was. Maybe just a handful of people working in an industry, maybe like the dockyard, the shipyard. And because Malta was a colony of England before, maybe some workers from there had an idea of what health and safety was. Mind you, even people working there, they risked a lot more than they should have been doing at the time. But what I'm trying to say is health and safety was inexistent. Anyway, I was lucky back then, I realized, but it was nothing like the health and safety of today. I was working at the time in a container terminal, maybe a few years later actually, and then during that time, I needed to start doing some part-time work, you know, to do some extra money, so that the family, because and then we had our daughter and needed some extra money. And I joined the Malta Red Cross as a first aid instructor. And when I became a first aid instructor, I started going out in different factories and organizations where people can get injured and they need to apply first aid. And I started hearing stories about how that person lost a finger, how they had a cut, how that person suffered a fracture, and these things. And you start getting in, and I started being aware how people were going to work and getting injured. Then, luckily for me, and I say for Malta as well, I think it was 1999, yes, it was 1999, there was an advert about this new diploma course at the at the University of Malta to get qualified in health and safety. What is health and safety? Well, for me, health and safety at the time, it was just wearing a high visibility clothing, having a safety footwear, which, mind you, in 1999, I can assure you that even on construction sites in Malta, you would see people working with flip-flops and sandals. That was the culture, right? Maybe it's unimaginable. I don't know about Turkey and where you are from. You're from Turkey, right, Berat?
Turkey, yeah.
I don't know about there, but I can assure you that in Malta, the culture, it was like that. People going to work, even as sport workers, with sleeveless shirts, sometimes even without a shirt on, and maybe a handkerchief tied on top of their on their heads. Anyway, so it's about telling people to wear these basic things. Those at the time, those were not basic things. Those time were that, what are these? Why should wear these things? But anyway, so I started this course. And when I started learning and being aware and how to control and how to identify the hazards in the body of Malta, I took this very seriously. In a way that at that time in Malta, there was this lobby for Malta to join the European Union. It was more or less at the same time. And how there were these laws and directives in the European Union about health and safety, which in Malta we didn't have yet. And I was in favor of Malta joining the European Union because in my mind, because Malta is a very small country, I thought most probably we will be unable to enforce these regulations if we are not part of a larger bloc who pushes you that you have to do these things. Why? Because especially a small country, maybe I am wrong, but I think that especially as a small, very small country, now for the people who are listening to us, Malta now there are 500,000 people. In 1999, 2000, maybe there were 340,000 people, maximum, not more than that. Now, that is very little. I can assure you that we would not know the 340,000 people, but we will know most of us. And if I don't know everyone, I will know someone who knows the people that I don't know. Meaning that when it comes to enforcement, it's very difficult. No, he's a friend of us, this kind of thing. So I was very much in favor and said, if you want health and safety in Malta, you must join the European Union. So when we had the opportunity to vote in a referendum, I voted for the European Union, especially, not only for that, but especially because I said, if we want to have a health and safety culture, we need to be part of this bloc which pushes, among other things, this idea of health and safety, where the worker is seen as not a number, but as a human being with human rights. I'm not saying that everything is perfect after all these years now, because Malta joined the European Union in 2004, and I'm not saying that it is perfect, but in my personal opinion, since then, the integrity of the worker, the humanity of the worker, I think it is better. I think that we are seen more as human beings with rights. Okay, that a lot depends, not because it's not automatic, because it depends on the employer that you are employed with and so forth, but at least there are systems in place where if you are not treated properly, you can raise a complaint, you are protected, and so forth. Anyway, I graduated in 2001 and has been working in the industry of health and safety since then. And it's not just a profession for me. It is a passion. I call the health and safety profession a vocation, the same as medical doctors, the same as nurses.
Yeah, sure.
Because in my opinion, our profession is about saving lives before the illness and before the accident actually happens.
Yeah, proactiveness, yeah.
It is, we have a profession whereby we can be proactive and get a message across, right? To think, to plan your work before you actually work. We have to preach, to convince the employers that they must work safely, not only to be, because it is an obligation of the law, not only because it is the right thing to do, because it is the right thing to do, and that's very important, it is the right thing to do, but also because it is the smart thing to do. It's difficult to make these convictions, but in the way that I see it after more than 20 years of being exposed in several industries, from the container terminal industry to the aviation industry to the manufacturing industry to the services and transportation industries, right? And also in the oil and gas, because I worked in the oil and gas in Libya as well. And I've seen some fatalities, unfortunately. I'm not proud of them, but I'm learned, not from others' mistakes, from what I've seen in this area, that all of these fatalities, not a lot that I've seen, because maybe I think I've seen about 6 fatalities, right? All of them were preventable.
Yeah.
The hundreds of injuries were all of them preventable. I cannot think of one which cannot have been avoided. And therefore, it is very important to get the message across. And one of the messages that I try to get across to the people when I have the opportunity in giving them training in the place where I work, for example, is about respect. It's not about how to wear a hard hat, how to wear a harness, why it's important to wear it. But the first message that I try to get across is about respect. Respect to others, and more importantly, respect to yourself. Because if you do not respect yourself, I think it is impossible to respect others. And if you respect yourself, you say, I respect myself, I want to get back home safely to my family. Even if you don't have a family, even someone who is single, respect yourself. How you respect yourself? You go to work, you earn money, and then you go back home and they enjoy the money that you work for. This is one. Secondly, respect the others. And by showing respect to the others, especially now in Malta, we've become a very multicultural country, people from countries all over the world, people of many different religions. So we cannot say that we have to agree on everything, because people come from, many people are Muslim, other people are Hindu, other people are of a different religion. Most Maltese people are Christian, they are Catholic. We can work together. We don't need to agree on our religious beliefs, we don't need to agree on our political beliefs, but we can respect each other, that if you are Muslim and I am not Muslim, I must respect you. I don't have to argue about these things, but I can respect you. And when I respect you, Benat,
Yeah.
if I see that you are not working correctly, I will talk to you about it. And because I respect you, even if my job is not health and safety, and I realize that you can get injured the way how you are working, I will talk to you and tell you about it and explain that to you. If I don't respect, how I'm going to do it? Just by telling you, because that is the law, because that is the rule. That is very difficult to get them. If we act in health and safety like policemen only, sometimes we have to act like policemen. It is part of the job, because if people don't want to listen, you have to enforce. But I believe that people work safely when they understand that they work safely. So, showing respect when someone talks to another person and get the message across to work safely in a respectful way, that the feeling from the person who is receiving the message, this person respects me, they listen more, because it's about talking, getting the message to the other side, and listening.
George,
if the person on the other side, sorry?
Yeah, I need to ask something to you about this issue. When you research the accidents, problems, I mean about is there any accident as a result of a death? When we saw the reason of these accidents, is it because of the behaviors just only, or in my country we saw that there is too much problems about the employee. They don't do their task very well, and not enough inspection on the sites. Because of that, employees don't do their task very well about occupational health and safety issues. So when we talk now, I think that this is why that people don't do their task very well. What is your opinion?
Yes, okay. About this question, when I look back from when health and safety started a little more than 20 years ago, mind you, there were health and safety laws almost 90 years ago, maybe 100 years ago, but they were there for nothing. Nobody followed them. They were just laws on paper. However, since about 20 years ago, when the Occupational Health and Safety Authority Act and the Occupational Health and Safety Authority was set up, it was the law was passed in 2000, but it came in fully enforceable in 2002, 22 years ago exactly. But then they started educating. And because we were going to join the European Union, employers started saying, these will be these new laws, we must follow them. And there was a lot of improvement. We did not evolve, we did not develop the full 22 years. In my opinion, we are maybe developed by 12 years because of this low health and safety culture, which I told you about. In Malta, probably related, most of it related that we are a small country. Also because the economy expanded in the last 12, 13 years exponentially, and there are now the population increased by almost 120,000 with immigration only in the last 10 years or a little more than that. Half of this immigration is from third country nationals, meaning that most of these come from countries with a lower health and safety culture, even lower than Malta. I'm not saying that we have a very high mission, and these influence together. Unfortunately, I admit, and I am ashamed, embarrassed to say that there are still employers who employ people with the intention not only to pay less, but pay less even if the health and safety of these people is compromised. However, there are systems in place. We need to get the message across to these people who are being abused. I'm not saying this is the majority, but there is a lot. It's not the majority, because the majority are employed in systems where there is either a union or something or other system in place which will talk to defend the rights of the workers. But for example, there are a lot of people working in the construction industry where they are not even registered as being workers. Right? Without any training, without nothing, and they are being threatened. They are being threatened by the employer that if you report something, we will take your visa, your working visa, and you go back to your country. And that is not right. That is very wrong. Right? There are people who are threatened that even after they got injured, do not go to the national hospital, because they will ask, or if you have to go to the hospital, do not tell them that you were working at my factory or this construction site. That is not very common, but it still happens. And I am ashamed that in my country, these still things happen, even if they're not a lot. They are more than we should tolerate.
Yeah.
How to avoid this, in my opinion, and what we are trying to do, even as an association. I don't know if I'm going to answer a question that you might be asking me sometime in the future, in the next coming question. We are pushing for collaboration between the association, which represent health and safety professionals, meaning the people who are facing the challenges and problems in different kind of workplaces. Right? Collaboration between us and the Authority of Health and Safety, but not only the Health and Safety Authority, because there are other authorities, for example, the authorities who provide visas, working visas in Malta. Ensure that those immigrants who we need in Malta, we need them, because we need, why the fact that there are so many immigrants in Malta, it's because also that the economy is growing. There is so lot of work that the Maltese people, residents of Malta only, are not enough to fill this gap. So they are important to us.
Yeah.
They are human beings. They are not equipment. So tell these people that they have rights, that they have health and safety rights. Ensure that they are aware of the health and safety. In my opinion, before providing them with a visa, they should be given a short course, something which is adequate to the type of industry that they want to work in. If they want to work in the construction industry, they should have training which they understand. We must ensure, okay, that they understand. Many people come from other countries not understand Maltese. I don't expect anyone coming to come in Malta and understand Maltese, but at least understand English enough, not a very high level, but in a way that you can understand the message, not go to a health and safety course and say yes, 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 and understanding absolutely nothing. That is wrong. Because if they are not understanding, how can they go to the workplace and follow to work safely? How can we get that message across?
Yeah.
And that is very important. Some people call us health and safety people, the people who say no to everything, the people who stop work, the people who slow down work. I am against the idea of stopping work just to show, this is not exactly as it should be, then the work must be stopped. That is a wrong message in health and safety.
Yeah, sure.
Right? The message that we should be driving in health and safety is what can go wrong. And if what can go wrong can significantly harm the worker, then yes, it must be stopped. This is debatable. Where do we stop? In my opinion, we should definitely stop where someone can have a fatality or a very serious injury. On the other, there must be a time limitation. When we teach people that we respect them, that they should respect themselves, and there are a system in place that if the employer is abusing them, they can report it and can still be protected. Right? Then health and safety culture will improve. In my opinion, it's only that way.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the employer, if they are willing to learn and improve, it is okay. Maybe give them a smaller fine or maybe not fine them at all. But if they are repetitive and they are not willing, even if the workplace shuts down, okay, don't worry, it will shut down. Another employer will show up. Sometimes sacrifices must be made. Apologies for going to talk about like this. If someone has a disease on his body, sometimes to survive, we must lose part of the body. Let's make it simpler. Even a toothache. If it's too harmful, if you cannot save your tooth, it's better to take it out than to continue living pain. True?
True. Yeah.
There are other serious things. Some people will have to lose an arm because of a disease or a foot.
Yeah.
Right?
There is some messages.
But what is best? Saving your life or losing a foot? So if an employer threatens, I will shut down, not you will shut down, if necessary, I will shut you down. If you're not going to try to work better, I will shut you down. No problem. Okay? But we will continue to move on. Someone will replace that employer. Okay? Nobody is indispensable. No workplace is indispensable. Okay? They will find another job somewhere else. I'm sure they will. The world proved time and time again that there is no single company, there is no single politician, there is no single whatever which is irreplaceable. everyone, and everything is replaceable. So let's focus on our dignity, the dignity of the worker. The worker have the right and should go back home safely and as a whole. And if we focus on that, the rest will come. But we must collaborate together. It will not happen on its own.
Yeah.
Health and safety is not a natural state of affairs. It does not come naturally. Okay? There must be a management system in place. There must be laws in place. There must be enforcement. Ideally, if enforcement is not needed, that is the ideal world, where everyone is good willing to work safely, all employers are good willing to provide everything in place. That's the ideal world. But this is not the ideal world.
Yeah.
Right? It's a mix of everything. Some things are ideal, some things are not. Some employers are ideal employers, some employers are not ideal employers. Okay? So there must be enforcement. Mm-hmm. And that is very important. And it is important that our leaders, being it employers, being it politicians, must lead by example. We cannot have a situation where a government puts laws for health and safety, and then you see government projects without proper health and safety. Because if I am an employer and say, so you want me to follow the law, but you do what you want, that is not right. It is a bad message.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? Yeah. So we must lead by that.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is great wisdom, I think. And I think if we collaborate together in workplaces with managers, with workers, everybody, and we can change attitude of also employer in a good way. So everybody need to respect their life and respect their friends. And I want to continue the other questions, but our time is so limited. You can talk everything, but we try to do these interviews nearly maximum 1 hour to be watchable. And my second question is about how what motivated you to work in this field? How did you met? And the third question is about future of occupational health and safety. What do you think your association, the other associations, governments, and all organizations must do to improve health safety environment very quickly? Because as you know that last 10 years lots of things changed, but very slowly changed. So what we need to do to make this faster?
Yes, first of all, when I was finishing my the previous question that I was asking and probably deviated from what you asked in the first places, I mentioned collaboration. And collaboration is important at every level, not just internally within a country or within an organization, but also between different countries. Luckily, there are many countries whose health and safety systems are already very advanced. They already experienced 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 100 years ago, right? The levels where some countries are now. Okay, some countries, their level of health and safety now is what was the health and safety level of an advanced country. Maybe I will mention one country like maybe Germany, maybe Denmark, but then they have very advanced systems in place, and maybe even the United Kingdom, which health and safety law in 1974 was very advanced at that time, and so now by this time, and we can learn a lot from these countries. Luckily for me, when I was working in different companies in Malta, I had the opportunity in the organizations that I worked for to go to these countries to see how they do it. And if we share these experiences together and we collaborate together, we don't need to have to wait for our own experience. We will continue to have our own experience, but I can learn from your experience with that.
Yeah, sure.
What did you learn? What happened? This is my experience. So if that is your experience and this is how you made it better, I can skip the step where I have to go through that experience myself. Okay, we have different cultures, we have different way how to convince our people, because it's not only about health and safety, but also about how people learn, how you get a message across, how there are different things, right? But then we say, how can I apply this, what happened in Germany, and apply it in Malta? How do I get the message across in Malta? Because how to get the message across in Malta is different in how they do it in Germany. In Germany, they are very strict, they are very rigid, they have rules. If they publish a rule, everyone go by the rule.
Yeah.
In Malta, we are a Mediterranean country, and we try to go, there is a rule. Okay, the first you try to learn is how you go around the rule. Okay? Yeah. But it doesn't mean that it is not possible to do it. And I can tell you it is possible to do it. Right? And I'm sure that it's possible to do it in Turkey, in Africa, and whatever country, in India, whatever. If I learned nothing in my time in Libya, I learned one thing. I was 2 years in Libya. It was a multinational company, people coming from the Philippines, from India, from Pakistan, from the Middle East, from wherever, from Europe, Eastern European, Western European, all different cultures. The people coming from, especially from the Far East, many of them, they knew nothing about health and safety. But because, okay, these are the rules. You have to go by them. It was even enforced. In oil and gas, you cannot make mistakes. If you make a mistake, boom. And by boom, I mean boom. It's an explosion. It's a fire. It's a fatality immediately. Yeah. Okay? So you have to be very strict like that. But it's not only about the rules. Every day we were giving courses, giving training. I can assure you that the people from these countries were, when they came there, they knew nothing. Most of them, not all of them, most of them knew nothing about health and safety, started working safely. And by time, you don't need to be like a police all the time. You have to continue to be like a police. It's important because it's a very rigid system. Working in oil and gas is what it is. It is a very high risk industry. So it is a little bit like police work as well. But once it got into their minds, because we showed them. When I went to other countries, better than Malta, much more better than Malta, when I was still learning health and safety, I was saying, but how it's possible in order to set up a scaffolding and setting up safely, setting up a scaffolding for taking maybe 1 hour to set it up, right, for a 30-minute job. Does it make sense? It made sense.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw them doing it. If they can do it, why we cannot do it? We need collaboration. We need to educate the people. The timeline by when it is possible to reach a certain level is different. Mm-hmm. It's different. But it doesn't have to take forever. We must be committed. And the commitment must come from our leaders.
For sure.
And sometimes we have to make a decision. We must decide if we want to become leaders. And if we want to become leaders, it is not necessary to become a politician. You can become a leader by putting pressure on our politicians.
Yeah, sure.
True? What you are doing here, Vedat, is a very good. Right? I didn't know you until a few months ago. Right? You starting following me, I started following you, who is this Vedat, who's seeing, and I can see that you are doing a very massive work.
Thank you.
Right? Why? Because you are reaching different platforms, especially through LinkedIn and YouTube, right? in order to educate people, to raise more awareness. And your program was nominated by the British Safety Council for this plan. That is an achievement, not an achievement because because it's being nominated. It's not if you get the award or not. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about being noted. And it means that if it's being noted, it means that somewhere you are probably saving a life.
For sure.
Because someone said, I must do something about health and safety. Maybe even if myself, I must do something about maybe I saved a life because I made the decision based on your program, on what you are sharing on LinkedIn. And this is what I try to do as well, in a much more smaller scale, because it's not about the audience that we manage. It's okay, the more audience that we manage to reach, the better, of course. But even if I manage to save a life, maybe I don't know that I did, but by trying to, that is important.
For sure.
And by leaving an impression, if we save the life, and someone said, my life was saved because I followed that person's advice. And that person tried to spread the word again and again and again and again. And that's why it is important that we collaborate together, because we have a lot to learn from each other.
Yeah.
I am not here to preach how to do health and safety. There are many better health and safety experts than myself at that. Many. Right? But the message that I'm trying to get across is, let's collaborate, let's network together, let's make it our mission to spread the word, even by sometimes spreading the word, sharing something, getting the message across. Let's find lobbies that push our politicians to improve the health and safety in our different countries, right? Despite the challenges that we have. And that is how we can reach globally. Right?
Right.
Even the countries who are very advanced in health and safety, they try to continue to improve. It doesn't matter if at some other country it's a very low level. And let's use the power of social media, because let's not forget that if it wasn't for social media, other countries like Bangladesh, for example, I recall the tragedies, the fires in Bangladesh. I don't know if you, I forgot the names of these particular buildings, and the tragedies were there. These Western countries, large textile chains, sending their workforce over there, not the workforce, their factories over there, so that the people from these third world countries working there for very cheap money, right? Which is, in a way, I'm not saying that it's not okay to pay cheaper if it's possible, if it's good enough for them to make a living, but treat them with dignity. Ensure that the factories over there are up to standard, because those people are not numbers. And thanks to social media, right, these large corporations were exposed.
For sure.
Now, I'm not saying that we should continue to tell them, see what you did wrong, because they learned their lesson. Most of them learned their lesson. In a bad way, but they learned the lesson. We need the large corporations. We need rich people to have large corporations and deploy people. They're important. Okay? Everyone is important. We cannot say, we hate rich people because they are rich and their businesses and I am not rich. We cannot be jealous of them. They are important. Okay? Because they employ thousands and millions of people. But let's ensure that it's in a good way. And because of that, now in Bangladesh, it's improved. I'm not saying that Bangladesh is much better, but there are systems in place, right, in order to ensure that the textile factory, you must be aligned in an agency. There are two I'm forgetting their names currently, but there are two agencies which you must be in line to, and these ensure that the fire safety standards and the health and safety standards are correct, right? And that is an improvement. But we can continue to do better. And your message, my message, maybe my message is one, maybe you have 10 messages, other people can reach tens and thousands of people through their LinkedIn platform, but let's continue to collaborate together. Let's continue to get the message across there. And let's not make fun of each other. What I'm trying to say here, because sometimes on social media, I see someone making fun of someone else's health and safety levels in third world countries. There are poor people, poor workers trying to do their M&E. Okay? If it's unsafe, let's say that it is unsafe. But let's understand that those are the means that those have. And rather than making fun of them, we should try to find a way how to get the message to them as well.
Exactly.
That is the correct way, not making fun of people who does not have the means and knowledge and technology to learn. That is what we should be doing.
I want to read some messages from our audience. Nidia Garduno, amazing family, amazing person, she said. Thank you very much. And Brian Fenek, greetings from Malta, he said, from LinkedIn. And Murat Teke, after all these years, my experience tells me that the importance given to HSE is taken more seriously by married peoples, he said. And he said also many things are progressing slowly in our country, but everyone knows that the story of the tortoise and the rabbit, it is nice to see the progress, even if slowly, as long as the result is achieved safely. I agree with Murat because in our country, lots of people try to demonstrate some slowly changing of the legislation, but in our companies, in our organizations, we are doing our best as a HSE experts. So we are changing the lives, we are changing the future of our countries. So I believe if you do something personally, it is affecting all the world. For example, doing these interviews is affecting the people in Turkey. In one day, 100 people trying to apply for as a volunteer. This is very great achieved for us. And I want to say thanks all the speakers like you that I invite joining us. This is very great, grateful. This is very thankful things. And Tuğçe said, great to know you. Thank you, she said. Tuğçe Urul from LinkedIn. And I want to continue the questions after saying that we are doing these interviews to improve the bridge between the countries, situations between the publics, between the humanity. Because if we do something together, it will be more stronger. For example, in 1 year, we will make a congress about our health safety legislation. So after that, we will do that in globally. Maybe we will come together to work about legislations. Because if we do the best legislation for a country, maybe we will affect the other countries. Because it is starting from the legislations. Because it is affecting the rules of the companies, the attitude of the employers. So we come together to make some project together. And I want to ask about your execution. What are the projects of MOSPA in the field of HSE for the future, George?
Okay, first and foremost, MOSPA is still very young. Although its origins go back to 20 years, we became registrars only 1 year and a half ago, because for a long period of time it was inactive. So it became active again 1.5 years ago, and the process is very slow to grow in Malta. However, due to the founder, it was Dr. Frank Laferla. We were already a member of the ENSPO. So what one of the first projects that we aim to establish is to have a collaboration with the Occupational Health and Safety Authority. It was very difficult of first, because for the authority to start recognizing you, it's not something, we are the association, so you must recognize it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You have to show commitment. We want to improve, to help with the improvement of standards in Malta, to raise more awareness, to have more systems in place that we can enforce in our workplaces. And after more than 1.5 years now, I am pleased to say that the Health and Safety Authority is recognizing us, and we are regularly having meetings together in order to see how we can collaborate together. So that is the first step. It's a small one, but a very important one. And only 1.5 weeks ago, we had the first seminar in collaboration between health and safety practitioners and the authority, how to empower health and safety practitioners. And that is the first step of the project. The next project is to make this actually work, how to empower health and safety practitioners. And by empowering, we mean how we can collaborate with the health and safety authority and have systems in place where we can be empowered and protected in different workplaces, because that is what is the end project actually. The end project is saving people's lives, not having injuries at the workplaces and illnesses in the workplaces. So we are moving toward the aspect. However, we have the other project in Europe, being part of this ENSPO. We are very small. We are not contributing a lot at the time being, but we are contributing. How? For example, the association MOSPA is being represented in 2 ways in ENSPO. One way is by being part of the board of certifications for recognizing health and safety certifications, professional certifications in different countries in Europe. And that is something that we are working on. And also we are proud that Dr. Luke Fiorini, who is a director at the University of Malta for the Center of Labor Studies, which organizes, among others, the bachelor degree of health and safety. He is an ergonomist also, and he is representing ENSPO in the board of the European Ergonomics Union. I forgot exactly what the name is, and that is also very important. So important for us, because it shows that even a small country like Malta, where so far there are only 150 registered health and safety practitioners. There are more than 250, but only 150 of them are registered. So even with these limitations, we can make a difference. Our ideas can make a difference. So we are humble. By humble mean we must, know that we are very limited. We are small. We must be careful. We cannot. You mentioned this. Someone mentioned the story of the tortoise and the rabbit. And we must ensure that we can walk before we run. And that is very important. We are walking. What's important is that we continue to walk. When we will be ready to run, we will run. Okay? And even when you run, sometimes you must stop and take a rest. Because if you continue running, you can tumble and stop. So that is important. So, but yes, those are more or less the projects that we are working on. It's not a specific project, but also as MOSPA, we need to still establish our website. We need to start not making money, because we are a voluntary organization. We don't make money. I don't take any money. The other board members don't take any money, but we need money for the organization, so that money can be used to educate more people, to reach more people, to put that out. So that is the MOSHPA project for the time being, to establish itself, and hopefully we can establish a continuous professional development system training. So we have many ideas. These ideas so far are in here, but in time, I am confident that we will reach them.
Yeah, our institute's team management team also sent good vibes, good greetings to you, your execution, and also we are motivated to collaborate with you on future with your execution. We are together with you as Turkey execution. So. This is a good chance to discuss about future of occupational health and safety with safety and health campaigns. So if we do something together, it affects more strong, I think. My fifth question is about leadership. What do you think the importance of leadership in our profession?
Yes, I think leadership is probably the most important thing, because having a good leader who inspires people not only to follow, but also a leader who inspires people to become leaders themselves. Because there are people who are highly knowledgeable, that they can do a lot of things to inspire other people and do good with what they know and what they are capable to do. But because so far they haven't realized that they can be leaders themselves. So it is important that we have the kind of leadership whom you can follow, inspires you to follow, that is important, but also the kind of leadership that inspires, that motivates, that those have leadership built inside in them, that but they haven't realized that they can be leaders themselves and help others and help others and inspire others as well. That is very important. Unfortunately, when someone talks about leadership, many times we talk about one leader like sort of a competitor of another leader. I'm not talking about that kind of leadership. The kind of leadership that we need in health and safety is again a collaborative leadership. No single person can do anything alone. We need leaders, different leaders in different fields, in even different professions, which together make better health and safety. Because health and safety, there is no one single type of profession. Even health and safety, it's so wide. You have ergonomists, you have engineers, you have, and it's so vast. It's okay to compete against it, not compete against each other, but compete for the better. And compete for the better by collaborating together, by sharing our knowledge between us. That is a good leader. Someone who is highly knowledgeable and keeps that knowledge to himself, that is not a leader at all. It's just a very knowledgeable person. That person is not even a wise person. What is wisdom if you do not use that wisdom? True?
Yeah, true.
And then someone who is wise, who knows a lot of things, use the knowledge that they have in order to do good with it. Otherwise, it's wasted. If you have a lot of money and keep it in the bank and do nothing with it, What? It's nothing. Wasted money. If you don't enjoy the money, then you take nothing, not even to enjoy it, not even to invest it, to employ people to do what it. What's happening to that money? The person dies. Oh, he was a rich person. Yeah, what did he do? Ah, nothing. He died poor. The same applies to knowledge. Vedat. The knowledge that we acquire with our experience, with the research that we do and how are we able to do research and literature reviews and these things? How are we able to do that? Because others publish them. They put them there. Okay, some put them there for free, others put them there for money. It's okay. Okay, there are ways. A lot of information is available for free. Some others we have to buy. It's okay. But there's lots of information out there from other people's experience. Let's share that together. And that is a good leader. A leader who shares their information, who inspires people, right? In the respective role that they have. If you are a politician, it is important that you use the power, the authority that the people gave you. If you are living in a democracy, right? To do good. If someone is not in a democracy, I'm not going to decide for other people what they have, what kind of leadership that they have, but it's important that those leaders, even if it's a monarchy, whatever, right? As long as they are trying, I am in favor of democracy myself, I must admit that, but as long as those people are truly working for the benefit of the people, that is okay.
Yeah.
However, it is also important that when you realize that it is time, right, that for someone else to replace you, because you are not doing good, if there is a lot of protest in your country for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, 4 years, and it continues internal conflict, wars, and these things, that's not a good leader. And this applies to everything. Being it leading a country, being it leading an organization, right? And be it leading a small group of volunteers. It doesn't matter.
For sure.
What matters is that leader has to inspire others, not just to follow him or her, but also to become leaders themselves.
Yeah. I also invite all the youngs to affect the public, affect the humanity with the power of their youngness in this type of situations, foundations, so we can change the future of our countries in a good way. Thank you very much for inspiring us with your good wisdom. So my next question is about a memory of your back stories. Could you please share with us a pleasant memory you had in your profession? Your profession or your private life? Memory, yeah.
Memory, how I remember?
Yeah. A good memory that you can share with us. A happy memory.
All right. Experience of something from health and safety, you mean, right?
Yeah.
All right, and yeah, there's a lot. I'm trying to recall something particular. You know, sometimes when you have lots of them, it's more difficult to remember one.
Yeah,
It's like being a little bit confused. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, right. What I'm trying to think. Sorry. Apologies. I got lost in my own minds. The time being, I'm sure that I can share.
If I ask you,
sorry. Maybe you can help me in something.
If I ask you about the worst accident, you will remember very well.
Yes.
Or something else. Best stories is coming.
Yes.
So
I recall the first one that I've seen was I was working in a container terminal. I wasn't even working in health and safety back then. I was a security person. And it was probably in the first week or 2 weeks of this employment. And there was this haulier. You know what a haulier is? The guy who drives a truck which hauls the container. Okay, for the benefit maybe of those who are listening and not everyone knows what a haulier is. Right? And he was in this container terminal, and there was this huge forklifter, very big wheels, lifting the containers for other trucks. One of the drivers, this haulier, came out of the truck, walked behind the forklift. It was impossible for the operator of the forklift to see him because of the size and everything. And he reversed, catching this person and crushing him with the wheel. I cannot forget that accident. First of all, it was very graphic. You can imagine it's not just someone, and I mean by just someone, I mean any fatality is an ugly fatality. But this one was very graphically. How do I explain this? I hope that I'm getting the message across like this. And said, why this person moved behind there? But what was disgusting me back then, that some leaders, some management people in position say, they focused on who was to blame. Yes, there is no doubt that the person should not have come down and walked behind it, especially a few days after the company imposed a policy on them and they made it sign them, that when you are at the container terminal, you cannot come down, and they made it for a good reason. But when you are focusing about the blame, in my opinion, it's wrong. And that's something that as a human being, okay, ultimately it's important that if someone took the right steps in order to avoid that accident from happening, it's important that they do not get the blame, because ultimately there is a blame. Someone has to blame, but it's not about blame and Vedat.
Yeah, sure.
It's about unfortunate experiences like this. This could have been avoided if that person listened. True. The company planned to avoid it. So the message that must be taken from this experience is, why do people feel that they must not obey? Did he understand what he was signing?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he did or he did not. I was too young. I was not involved in the investigation. I know nothing about that. Right? But many times what happens that when people do not follow instructions, there are reasons. I'm not saying that they are good reasons, but there are reasons.
Yeah, true.
And you must look in those reasons and see what could have been done better. Earlier on, I mentioned of giving training in, for example, a language. In English, in Malta, we deliver our training in Maltese or in English. But are we sure that the people are able to follow the training? If they are getting only 50% of what we're saying, are they understanding it correctly? So we must ensure that the message is clear. And there are systems in place that if it's not clear to them, that we can catch that information. Now, I'm not saying this to blame all that, and in the case that happened about 30 years ago in this container terminal, the management or anything was to blame. I'm not saying that, because since 30 years ago, a lot of things changed and we improved a lot. What I'm trying to say is that these experiences teach us. Okay, there was another accident also, unfortunately, in this in the container industry, where there was this stevedore, port worker. He was crossing from under a key crane. You know what the key crane is? The large crane at the shore, taking containers, loading or unloading the ship. Right? So between the front part and the rear part, it's quite a long way. Right? And he was talking, this person who was walking to the other side, right? And talking and looking backwards. He moved in between two wheels. The driver could not avoid it. Why? Because the front part where the driver is was already passed. He walked into between two wheels at the rear or in the middle of the container. And again, he got caught into the wheels. And anyway, and this person died not instantly like the other one. He died 6 months later, I believe. At first, he seemed to be okay, but then the internal hemorrhage increased again, and the person died. And unfortunately, these accidents. The first one I was not health and safety. The second one was on my last day of health and safety in this particular workplace, and I said there was no other fatality during those 4 years that I was health and safety there, and I said I have to live here with this fatality in my mind, and that's very unfortunate. But every one of them could have been avoided, even if I could have done nothing as management or as rules or as something. It means that we didn't manage to convince the people why it's important to be aware of your surroundings, what we call the dynamic risk assessment. Because that's very important. People must be aware of their surroundings. If I am working in a port work is dangerous. A construction, irrespective of how many rules, of how many personal protective equipment, and how many SOPs that you have, it remains a high risk environment. It is like that. So the workers who are there must be continuously conscious that what's happening around them is dangerous. Hopefully, the risks are controlled, and that's our duty, is to ensure that the risks are controlled. But I have control only on myself. I don't have control on the others. It's like driving. If everyone follows the rules while driving, the rules of ensuring that the vehicle is maintained in this condition, that the brakes are working properly, that the soil and the system space, that everyone drives in the respective lane, that before you cross to the other side, you look and switch on the indicators, the blinkers on. That is the ideal. But when I am driving my car, I don't have control on how you are driving better. I have control on how I am driving. And because I have only control of how I am driving, I must be controlling my vehicle, but also being aware on how other people are driving. Because unless I do that, I cannot avoid all the accidents. Sometimes you cannot avoid them only anyway, because if someone else is coming at high speed, a gateway directly in you, but maybe if you are aware of your surroundings, maybe you manage to swim and avoid it, maybe. But if you trust, and that is the same at the workplace. I like to bring these simple day examples because sometimes health and safety professionals don't need these examples. But the common people, I don't know who's listening to us, the common people, they need simple real life examples to understand.
I believe bad stories make us good warriors. I think why you are in this position, in a situation that you want to change these stories in a good way. So my last question is coming for young colleges. This is my best motivation to do these interviews. I want to change their attitude, they change their wisdom with these interviews, with your ideas. What would you your suggestion for young colleges? Can you tell something about to uh, light their way in a good way?
The younger people, the youths, have the opportunity to change the world, to shape the world. Some probably more than we do, because sometimes and many times it's more difficult to change the attitude and the habits of people who have been working in a certain way already. But this is where we must target the young. And I believe that health and safety should be included as part of the school curriculum, even when teaching them the smaller skills, right?
Yeah.
They are basic things. In the same way how we teach the children how to cross the road. That is health and safety.
Yeah.
When I was at school, in primary school, I forgot which age, maybe I was 7, I was 8, I forgot. They tell you, before you cross, right, first you look to the right, because we drive on the left side of the road, so it's probably different than you. So first you look to the right, then you look to the left, and then you look to the right again. And then, if it's safe, you cross the road. These basic things, not only how to work safely, the message should start getting across from they are very young.
Yeah.
So that when they go to the workplace, their mind is already set to think that way. Of course, because they lack experience, they might make mistakes because of the lack of experience, because some things, most of the things we learn not from school, we don't learn from college, we don't learn from the university, but we learn from the experiences.
Yeah, sure.
That's where the biggest size of the wisdom comes. But at least when they go out there, they are prepared in a certain way and be more conscious, at least that they have become more conscious. But that is where we must enforce with the employers. That especially with everyone, but especially with the young, we must ensure that we continue to bring them, right, in a way that will help our culture change.
Yeah.
I will give another example, like someone who was smoking. Someone who's smoking cigarettes for 20 years, it's very difficult for that person to stop smoking. But if you address that to the people who are still very young, it is more likely to stop or not start smoking in the first place.
Yeah.
So I tell the young people, you will not be experienced. It's impossible to gain the experience. However, you can be the people who inspire the experienced ones, right, to follow, challenge them. Even at my workplace, I want to challenge them. Some people of authority, even in health and safety, think, I have 30 years experience, you're not going to teach me about health and safety. Sorry, I can tell you that myself now with 22 more of experience, some people look at me as an expert. I don't like that word, but anyway, we are in the profession, so it's going to be used, okay? But my knowledge, at least 50% of it, came from simple workers who told me, George, I don't think that is the best way. There is a different way how it can be done and can be done safely. And this happened because I inspired them to think and come up with their own ideas in their place of work where they are the experts how to do that job. And I want the young people to challenge me and to challenge us, because sometimes when you are so long in the profession or in a certain workplace, some things they are there and we cannot see them. And the young people, they are fresh then, and they are seeing things maybe which we are not seeing. Let's not laugh of them. Let's not laugh of them, at them, sorry. Even if what they say seems stupid, maybe it is. Don't tell them that it is stupid, because when you tell them, that's stupid, they will not tell you anything again. So my message to the young people is, if someone tells you it's stupid, ignore them. When you notice something again, say it. Ignore them, not try to learn. If it is stupid, learn from it. But ignore that they said that it is stupid.
Yeah.
Because it is important that you talk. And if you notice something else again, even if maybe they tell you it's stupid again, say it. But I tell this very strong message to those who are experienced like us. If someone says something stupid, please don't tell them that it is stupid. Explain to them why there are better solutions, or maybe they don't need to worry about it. Because when you tell them that it's stupid, you are discouraging them to talk again. And maybe sometime they will not talk. And because they didn't talk, someone dies. Because they thought that if they talk, it would be stupid. So it is two-way. The young people must not be discouraged by someone who discourages them, but use your youth, your, how do you say it, rebellion, because when we are youth, we are rebellion, more than when we grow up. Use your rebellion in a good way. And I tell the professionals and the experienced people, please do not discourage the youth. Because we need the youth to challenge us in those questions to make a better world.
Thank you. I want to also say, young colleges, please feel free to connect any of us to having a mentoring on your education, on your organization, on your company. If you need any help, any question, please feel free to contact with us. I think also George is thinking like me on this way. So we need to help each other. We need to help a young profession to improve themselves because, as you said, we are learning with our experience more than from the articles. So we need to improve our profession in every time until we finish this job. So thank you very much, George, for joining us today.
Thank you yourself.
This is a great day for us, a start of communication with each institute, organizations. So we will connect with you about our international projects, about public, also about our profession. And I want to say thanks to all the audience is watching us today because these interviews is so different because each of you is having very big experience and wisdom. So it is improving our profession. And I want to show the last message from our audience. Mohammed Nafes Kadri, thank you, George and Vedat. It was honor to listen to you both of you. And he said, speak up for safety is the best slogan. Yes, all right. I believe the same. Speaking up is speaking louder is also so important. And this is I'm giving microphone to you, George, for the last sentences.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything?
That's all I have to say is thank you very much, first of all, for giving me this opportunity and be on this platform. To the people who are listening, and I don't know if they are professionals or just following health and safety out of curiosity or anything. However, it's important to get the message across that everyone has the right to go back home safely. Keep this in your mind. Try to get the message across. People need to learn about health and safety. It doesn't mean that everyone must become a health and safety professional. Even if you know what's most important is that whatever kind of work that you do, you are aware of the hazards around you and how best is to control them. There is lots of information on the internet. Ensure that any information that you get are from reliable sources. Right? There is lots of reliable sources. Ensure that you connect to them and base yourself on them. Anyway, good luck to everybody. Good night to those who are following us, and thank you for listening to my never-ending
You are
talk. I
great.
hope that I
You are
didn't.
great, George. Thank you very much for joining today. Everybody can contact with you on LinkedIn, and also
Yes, yes,
George,
feel free. Yes, please. I
I will
would
share
gladly help.
again.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will share the LinkedIn page. This is the LinkedIn page of Association Malta Occupational Health and Safety Practitioners Association LinkedIn website. So you can go there and contact also from this page. Thank you again, George, and see you soon. I will contact in a short time with you.